going on, people? What's happening? Ahlan wa sahlan. What's good? I hope you are all doing well. I actually thought, guys, there would be a strong possibility that I don't have much to talk about today outside of outgoings, but then we got a little bit to talk about. We got a little bit to talk about, because if you've been living under a rock for about the last 2 hours or so, Manchester United have put in their third and hopefully it's their final bid for Bryan MBEUMO, a package of £70 million. Surely 70 is the magic number, and that's the number that must get the deal done for Brentford. For Brentford. It must be the deal that gets it done for Brentford. 70 million. 65 is what they actually wanted. And that is now what Man United have offered. Now, I think there's been a little bit of domino effect over the last couple of days. I think the Ekitike to Wissa pipeline for Newcastle might have played a slight part in it. But Manchester United make that final third bid, which reportedly, a lot of reporters are saying that the anticipation is that it gets accepted. But Brentford might be cheeky and they might think, you know what? If we can sell Wissa for 50 million, we can keep Bryan MBEUMO unless we get a big fee. Now, this is just hypotheticals. But we are going to talk all about that. So be sure to hit the like button. Be sure to subscribe as well. If you are new here, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Martinez interest. A lot of people are entertaining this idea of an Alejandro Garnacho / Martinez swap deal. We're going to talk about that very briefly, but more so about the Martinez links, because it feels like those links are heating up quite a bit. So we're going to talk about that. We are also going to talk about Marcus Rashford's future. We're going to talk about Alejandro Garnacho's future. We're going to talk about Jadon Sancho's future. And also, we're just going to talk about Manchester United's transfer window, because I don't want to get too ahead of myself, guys. I really, really don't want to get too ahead of myself. But maybe this might be the point in the transfer window that United turn a corner. I don't know. Make sure you get involved in the chat. I want to hear you guys' thoughts. Make sure you guys hit the like button as well. Listen, we could talk about Jackson too. Actually, Jackson is on the agenda to talk about, as well as Ollie Watkins. Both of them are on the agenda to talk about. Don't you worry. We'll talk about Nicholas Jackson. So make sure you hit the like button. Be sure to subscribe as well if you are new here. As well as that, I will be live in about 3.5 hours time, give or take, for a watch along for the women's Euros. England take on Sweden. It's a big game, guys, because Sweden are no pushovers. They are no pushovers. England started the competition a bit shaky against France, but they've redeemed themselves. Now they're on the easier side of the bracket. So we'll be doing a watch along. I'll be live at 7:45, 15 minutes before kickoff. So make sure you come through. We could chit chat. There is no other football on right now. No other football. So if you don't want to watch a good baller in Lauren James, I encourage you to come and join us for that watch along as well. But let's talk about Bryan MBEUMO. Let's actually talk about the details of this Bryan MBEUMO deal, live and direct from the man himself, David Ornstein. Let's zoom in a little bit. Manchester United make an improved offer for Bryan MBEUMO worth up to £70 million. David Ornstein confirming that United have stepped up the efforts to sign Bryan MBEUMO by making an improved offer to Brentford for the international. The current proposal, or the latest proposal, is worth 65 million fixed fee, with 5 million in add-ons, and Manchester United are now awaiting a response. So it's the waiting game. But in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, guys, I've got no insider knowledge whatsoever, but just in my opinion, this must be the deal that make Brentford sell. Because 65 million is what they've wanted. They've wanted a bigger package than Matheus Cunha, but they've also reportedly valued him higher than Matheus Cunha. So they even wanted the base fee to be higher. It's been the number that has been flying around for the last number of weeks. 65 has been the magic number. A lot of reporters reporting that Brentford want at least 65 million guaranteed, because they value Bryan MBEUMO higher than what they imagine that Matheus Cunha is worth. And we know Matheus Cunha went just for slightly more than 62 million with his release clause. So 65 million base fee, or fixed fee, if you want to call it that. Now, I'm wondering what took it so long. I don't think Man United were ever gonna not pay this. I always anticipated that United would pay this, but I also think what might have held this up a little bit might have been the ins and outs of it. you know, because 65 million as a fixed fee is guaranteed that Brentford will receive 65 million. It's about how that 65 million is packaged. How much can Man United convince Brentford to allow them to spread it out over the course of a number of years? Like that's the biggest question at hand, because with Matheus Cunha, you know, they played slightly more of his release clause so they can spread it across 3 years. They did the same with Joshua Zirkzee. Right now, we know the cash situation at Manchester United. They are cash strapped. If you lot want to take it back, like historically, Manchester United paid Maguire's transfer fee up front. They paid it all in that year. They paid, I think, over half of Rasmus Højlund's deal up front. So Man United are working on the hauntings of the past. So I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised that this deal has taken that long, but also I can very much anticipate that it was probably more so down to the agreement of how, like, I don't think Man United would have put in a 65 million bid until they were comfortable that Brentford would accept that bid based on how that bid would be packaged, especially that specific 65 million. I think the 5 million in add-ons, it was reported that Brentford wanted as achievable add-ons as possible that was more personal related rather than club related. So sometimes some teams, they put in a release clause. They will say, you know, if you win a trophy or you win a certain like player of the year or Ballon d'Or, etc., you have that kind of stuff, but then when you have individual achievements as your add-ons, it's down to assists, it's down to goals, it's down to appearances, etc. That I think Brentford, it sounds like from the reports that is what they were pushing towards. Now, reportedly, multiple different journalists are reporting that they believe, Manchester United believe, this is the deal that gets it over the line. This is the bid. And also reportedly, Manchester United are not scared or not hesitant to walk away from this. Now, I'm in two parts about this because I'm not the football expert. I'm not the football, you know, mastermind. I'm not the football expert. You know, Jim Ratcliffe has appointed the right people in place. But when it was being reported not so long ago that Manchester United wouldn't exceed the 65 million package, and then to come out and exceed the 65 million package, I am kind of questioning it a little bit. But also, I just cannot fathom the idea of the 7 weeks that United have spent. Of course, you know, you never go in, can I say, with the main fee. You never go in with the main fee straight away. Shout out to KG for the raid. But you never go in with the main fee. Like, it's as simple as that. Manchester United have started low. It's like if any of you have been to markets, I'm not saying that the Premier League or transfer windows are like a market, but one thing I've been taught, when I go shopping in another country, in the markets, etc., is number one, I don't speak English. Number two, never take the first price tag that they give you for whatever you're trying to buy. Always haggle. Manchester United started at 45 million pounds. That was the first offer that was made nearly 6.5 weeks ago. From there, it went from 45 million base fee with 5 million add-ons, and then it went to 55 million plus 5 million, and now it's gone to 65 million. So it's increased by 20 million. And of course, the package has therefore increased. The add-ons has remained relatively around the same. I don't know how you guys feel about this, because I've seen so many different thoughts and different opinions. For me, I just want United to get the deal done. It's as simple as that. Get the deal done and just move on to the next transfer target. It's quite frustrating to have to watch Man United move one target at a time. But I also believe, and there's a part of me that feels like the main signings are MBEUMO and Cunha. When I'm talking about financially, the main signings, I think the targets were MBEUMO and Cunha. And I think moving on from this, Manchester United might be more in the range of signing players that are like 30 to 40 million. I don't think we're going to see multiple 60 or more than 60 million plus signings. I don't really see that on the horizon for Manchester United. Let me see what you lot are saying. We've overpaid by 7.5 million for MBEUMO by not moving quicker. Also, I noticed City get better prices for players by paying the fee up front. We can't do this while we have the debt on our back. Exactly that. And big up to KG with the raid and everyone coming through from his channel. that is one of the biggest problems. Like, I don't think people realize the financial implications on Manchester United's financial situation and how it's kind of a domino effect onto multiple other situations at Manchester United, be it transfer window related, be it, you know, building or improvements on Carrington, whether it's developing the women's team. The financial situation at Manchester United causes a hindrance on so many different stuff. And like I mentioned, Man United are dealing with the past decisions that previous people had made. Like I said, paying Harry Maguire's transfer fee up front. Number one. Number two, paying half of Rasmus Højlund's fee up front. A lot of the stuff that Man United are dealing with now is a direct implication of, you know, those previous decisions that Manchester United made, and it is unfortunate. But for me, I still say eyes are on Ineos. Like, moving on from this, I need to see, firstly, we can't get too ahead of ourselves with the expectation or with the prediction that Manchester United's bid have automatically been accepted. We shouldn't get too ahead of ourselves. But with the anticipation that United's bid does get accepted, I'm looking at how do Man United move after this. Big up to KG in the chat. Make sure you lot go and check out his channel and follow him on TikTok too as well. I always stumble. Guys, I don't really use TikTok like that. But sometimes I just be scrolling on TikTok and then I just see KG and he's got some all these sounds he's pressing, bam, bam. I'm thinking, yo, 1 minute. I just seen you live on YouTube and now you're on TikTok and you're doing music stuff. Me, I don't really listen to music, guys. So I'm not gonna lie, I don't watch his TikToks for that long because there's music in it. But make sure you lot go check out his TikTok because I know he's doing that clash thing today. KG raid and just subscribed. Big up to KG for the. I'm shocked, Lil Yo-Yo. I'm shocked KG knows how to do a raid. Who taught him how to redirect? I need to know who taught KG how to redirect. Where did he see it from? Because this guy, I never thought he knew how to redirect. But big up to KG. Make sure you lot go like and subscribe his thing as well. And let me know your thoughts down below regarding Bryan Mbeumo to Manchester United. Like I said, let's not get too ahead of ourselves because it's still... There's some people suggesting, by the way, that this might not even get accepted. There's some people suggesting that this transfer, this bid, might actually not get accepted and that Brentford, like I mentioned at the beginning, the whole domino effect of, you know, Ekitike, Liverpool, Newcastle, Wissa. You see, there's a lot of connected dots here that might have led to Man United finally putting in that bid for Bryan Mbeumo. But I want to just put out an idea out there that I want to know everyone else's thoughts. If Brentford do not accept 65 million plus 5, so a 70 million package bid for Bryan Mbeumo, do you think Manchester United, having spent 6.5 weeks on the deal and having spent 6.5 weeks on trying to get this finished, do you think Manchester United should walk away? Do you think Man United should walk away? Because someone said to me Man United should walk away. And I kind of entertained the idea, but I also thought, who on earth do Man United go out for in the market right now that is of the ilk of Bryan Mbeumo, that is Prem proven, or even not Prem proven, even if it's in another league, but near enough to a similar profile of Bryan Mbeumo, or can offer you what you're lacking in that front line, the same way Bryan Mbeumo can offer you what you're lacking in that front line. Because I can't really think of many people. I can think of Ademola Lookman, but he's more like a wide player, and I think he's going to Inter Milan for about 40 million. But really and truly, Mohamed Kudus, he's gone to Spurs. I can't really see. Eze maybe is one name that pops up for me. But if Brentford are making it this hard, I can't imagine what Crystal Palace are going to do for their star boy. So outside of that, I can't really think of anybody else. Let me see what you lot are saying in the chat. Be sure to hit the like button as well, guys, if you've just come through. Big up to Abu Bakr says, if it's rejected, then we move on. It should be a take it or leave it. Walk away ASAP. We can't add a pinch above 70 million. If we walk away, who the F will we get? That's the question that I'm asking. MA says yes, walk away immediately if they don't accept. Big up to OJ says we're in too deep to walk away. Players left on the transfer market are not what we want and what we need. MA says MBEUMO had a purple patch last season. He isn't a 20 goal a season man, season in, season out. Big up to Wajid says do the young project that they say they're gonna do. 70 million is mad. Anyway, you think Man United fans have the patience, guys, for a young project? If you don't think Man United fans got the patience right now for a young project or to buy into a young project, nah. Past transfers have crippled the club in this window. I don't think Ineos are doing themselves any favors, in my opinion. Yeah, I think the mood on Ineos is really, really split for me. Big up to Keegan, been a member for 20 months. 20 months. Big up, Keegan. Says the sins of the past are catching up to us, but it doesn't excuse this transfer window, regardless of whether we get MBEUMO or not. We've been poor. I totally agree. It's been a very underwhelming window. Mina, 79 million is madness for MBEUMO. Where's the 79? Where's the 9 coming from? Kadisha says 70 million with 1 year left on his contract is laughable. Well, firstly, okay, 70 million. All right, cool. Slices of SIB. Okay, cool. 70 million. This idea that he's got 1 year left on his contract, Brentford reportedly have already been comfortable being ready to trigger his extra year that he has. And the reason why I'm mentioning the Wissa, let me bring it up on here. The reason why I'm mentioning the Wissa to Newcastle links is because I genuinely think that has made Manchester United realize that time is not really on their side. Because if I'm being honest, out of these two players, I feel like 100% without a shadow of a doubt, Brentford would be more happy to sell Wissa than they would be to sell Bryan MBEUMO. I feel like they could definitely get a contract extension out of Bryan MBEUMO, and even if they chose to sell him next year or the year after, he's still within a certain age. Wissa is slightly older, and I also think between the two of them, one of them will definitely leave. And I don't know if this Newcastle stuff has sped Manchester United up slightly more, but I also think Newcastle will be ready to drop whatever it is that Brentford asks for Wissa. You know, they went in first for an initial bid with Elanga, and the second time they went back with whatever Nottingham Forest was asking for. And I feel like with the, I don't want to say humiliation, but with the slightly underwhelming, I would say, transfer window they've had in terms of missing out on their big targets, they probably want to get someone in as soon as possible, whilst you got Ekitike potentially on his way to Liverpool, and they get to keep Alexander Isak. So maybe the Wissa and Newcastle thing is a silver lining in the cloud for Manchester United, and that has just made that gave United the kick up the arse, basically. That gave United the kick up the arse to get this transfer done, because I genuinely think if push comes to shove and Brentford has to pick between the two of these, they would just have to, they would be more happy to get Wissa out rather than Bryan MBEUMO. The fan base is never satisfied. Minna, in this market, we can do when Kudus just, what can we do when Kudus just went for 55 with 7 GA this season? You know what? That's a valid point. People that are saying that Bryan MBEUMO is not worth 65 million. And by the way, guys, I don't know if you lot talk about transfers with add-ons or without add-ons. I don't know, because sometimes I see people talking about the transfer fee as the package rather than the fixed fee. I'm going to talk about the fixed fee, which is 65 million. 65 million. The only downside, I think, to the 65 million is what Brentford have been asking for all this time. So that is, for me, the only downside. Man United could have got this done a lot more quicker than nearly 7 weeks. But you look at it on the flip side, and I'm trying to see it. I'm trying to see it from both perspectives, or from different perspectives. 65 million is a reasonable, I think, is a reasonable fee for a player of Bryan MBEUMO's ability, for his track record, because I feel like we always talk about what a player has done. There's nothing that a player has done like Elanga for me that warrants 55 million. Mohamed Kudus, in his time at West Ham, I would say 55 million is actually based on his time at West Ham, I think it's reasonable. But in terms of the quality and ability that I think Mohamed Kudus has, I think he could have gone for more. I think the 65 million is all dependent on Man United's side, probably on how they get to pay it. Because if they get to pay it across 3 years, then from a cash perspective and from a profit and loss perspective, that helps Man United in every possible way. It's not really PSR related when teams are trying to pay things in installments, because when you're trying to, when your balance sheet is what PSR is literally. The cash is king, basically, guys. Cash in football, oh, just in life, actually. Seeing as we're gonna have a little heart to heart right now, guys, cash is king in life. So even from a football perspective, if Man United, the more cash that they have available to them over the next couple of years, I know it sounds like we're doing Klarna. I know it sounds like, you know, we're doing buy now, pay later settings. You know, when you go to DFS and you buy a sofa and you get the opportunity to do that, a lot of people take it on. A lot of people take those opportunities on. 65 million, in my opinion, is not absurd. I've seen worse players go for a lot more. Now, my question to you, for those of you who think 65 million is a lot for Bryan Mbeumo, for a player of his quality, for a player of his age, for someone who maybe hasn't done it consistently in the Premier League, my question to you is, you got 65 million to spend on a front man. Realistically, who are you going to go get? Realistically, not in an ideal world, because in an ideal world, I'll tell Man United go sign somebody like Victor Osimhen. That's who I would say. But if you're being realistic, taking into consideration everything with Manchester United right now, I'm talking, you know, the new manager. I'm talking about where they finished last season. I'm talking about the fact that United cannot score goals. Can you find me someone right now off the top of your head that you can say, you know what, this person can give us 15 to 20 goals in the league, and that is what we have been struggling with? I promise you can't. I promise you can't. Number one. Number two, anybody of that ilk or that ability or that caliber of player, I think has already been, they've already been on the market. People have already snatched them up, or teams are not going to want to sell them. A player that I really like is Arda Güler. I don't see him ever leaving Real Madrid. I really don't see him leaving Real Madrid. Ademola Lookman is a guy that I mentioned earlier as well, another player that I think is decent. I think the only player that I can think of who's Premier League proven, got experience in the Prem, still young, but still has a bit of, you know, experience under his belt. I think actually him and Mbeumo are the same age, is Eze. That's it. Eze is the only other player that I can think of that he hasn't ticked the boxes like Bryan Mbeumo in terms of the goals, but he's creative. But then on the other side, now you have to find someone to accommodate him to get the goals. If he's going to create the goals, who's going to score the goals? Let me see what you lot are saying in the chat. MUFC 14 says, I'm getting Mount 2.0. Damn, Mount 2.0. Big up to Uthman. Uthman, I hope you're doing well. Says 70 million when your pivot is Bruno and Ugarte. This is incompetence. I'm sorry. Do you guys, you know what? I agree with the fact that United's are incompetent, but I'm also not, I'm not trying to shut off the prospect of United maybe getting a midfielder this window. I think it's clear as day United need a midfielder. And I have this conversation all the time on the channel about the type of midfielder I would like Man United to have versus the type of midfielder that Manchester United might get under Ruben Amorim. And I have a feeling we're going to end up with an Ugarte 2.0. And what I mean by that is a player whose sheer existence in the starting 11 is to win the ball back and to then vacate the ball to somebody else that's better on the ball. I don't really agree with that, but I genuinely believe that that is what Manchester United are going to end up getting. Big up to Koala, says, funny how the worst players come to us. Is that in reference to Mbeumo? That can't be. Ineos counting the pennies, trying to lowball Brentford this past month, now being pressured and trying to save the deal. I hope Wissa goes to Newcastle and we can blame Ineos on this debacle. I think everyone just wants somebody to blame. For sure. I think everybody just wants somebody to blame. Mina, ain't that Gyökeres money for Mbeumo? 70 million whole package. Same price tag. Is that what Gyökeres is going for? Is he going for a 70 million package to Arsenal? 70 million for... again, like I said, if you're going off of package versus fee, I mean, it's only a 5 million difference. But also, if I could be devil's advocate and say, why were a lot of teams seem to be reluctant for that 70 million price tag on Gyökeres? Why is that? Why blame Ineos when Brentford changed their asking price twice? You know what I think why Brentford changed their asking price? I don't agree with it, by the way. But if you guys remember, Man United had agreed terms to sign Cunha before the season was even finished, right? And sometimes that can I think that can be a bad thing. I think that could be a bad thing in terms of agreeing terms before the season's over and everyone knowing that you're ready to pay the release clause, because that puts ammunition in other people's hands. People realize, and in that instance, Brentford realized that Man United have just dropped a release clause or paid a release clause for Matheus Cunha. So that gave them ammunition to increase their transfer fee. And I don't necessarily agree with it, but that's what selling clubs do, guys. That's what selling clubs do. Manchester is the only reason why we're not fond of that stuff is because Man United don't sell well. So when we're selling people, we are just begging people to buy them. Whereas these lot, they have players that are wanted by multiple different teams. Big up to SJ with the super chat. Thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it, man. Says Hayden Hackney would be stellar for United, in my opinion. I know a little bit about Hayden Hackney, but I'm not really I'm not all for us building a young core of player. I think you have to have a balance of experience and young talents. That's just my opinion in the midfield, or just even in the starting 11 in general. They wanted to squeeze us for as much as they could because we dropped a fixed fee for Cunha. There you go. That's pretty much it. Just quickly for you guys in the chat, yes or no? Are you not happy with this bid? Are you guys happy with this bid? Do you feel like United are getting their pants pulled down? Do you think United should walk away from the bid if it goes any further than this? And most importantly, do you think Man United will now be stuck in a situation where they will probably have to sell to buy? That is my question to you guys. If you lot have missed it, Manchester United had made an improved offer for Bryan Mbeumo worth £70 million. It's a package of £70 million, 65 million plus 5 million in add-ons. There is still no news so far about whether or not Brentford are going to accept it, but a lot of other journalists are suggesting that this might be the bid that gets it over the line. Welcome, Simon. Thank you so much. Enjoying the discussion. There you go. If Brentford don't accept the bid, we need to walk away. Noni went for 52, but I don't think we can compare Noni Madueke going to Arsenal for 52 million because Chelsea have something over Arsenal. We don't know what it is. But Chelsea, when it comes to Arsenal buying Deadwood from Chelsea, there is something there. There is a history between them. So I don't think we should necessarily compare it because they did the same thing to us with Mason Mount. They did the same thing to us for Mason Mount. 70 million is enough. No more. Q Craig David walk away. Big up to MUFC 14, been a member for 20 months. 20, man, that's a long time. Big up says, why no one else is bidding on him? Because he's given his priority to Manchester United. That's why. It's the same way. Newcastle were ready to make a bid or made an initial bid for Ekitike, and the second that Liverpool came sniffing around, he wanted to join Liverpool, so Newcastle had to pull out of the race. It's the same thing. This guy has made it known over 6 weeks ago that he wants Manchester United. It's very difficult, in my opinion, for clubs to sway that unless Bryan Mbeumo knows for a fact Man United are not going to meet the terms of what Brentford are asking. And it's been reported as well that his agent and him being on site this week has kind of helped Manchester United to get the deal going or get this bid going. So yeah, I think people have been interested in him. It's not going to be a bidding war. When was the last time we've seen a bidding war in football, can I ask? Like, I don't feel like we really see that anymore because before teams even go sniffing around a transfer fee for a player, they agree personal terms with them because they don't want a bidding war. They want to have a gentleman's agreement and be like, yo, we've agreed personal terms, 5 years, X amount. You know, do you guys remember Jared Branthwaite last summer? We were all going, I wasn't going crazy, but a lot of other people were going crazy. We were sitting here talking about it. Manchester United agreed personal terms with Jared Branthwaite, but they never saw a final fee coming in with Everton. It happens. There's no such thing, I think, as bidding wars in football anymore because of that. Free Branthwaite. He just signed a new deal, so I don't know. Bidding war, Caicedo went from 70 million to 115. That is true. That is true. Caicedo is probably the most recent bidding war that we've seen. That day on social media was crazy. Darren says a bidding war don't tend to happen now. Nowadays, clubs agree with the player and then sort out the fee with the selling club. You know what is interesting? Yeah, Darren mentions this. How is it then that Nottingham Forest has accused Spurs of basically tapping up Morgan Gibbs White and agreeing personal terms with him? Everybody does it. Are they only doing this and taking this legal action against Spurs because of this secret release clause that has come to the attention of everyone? Because I see every player that is going in the summer transfer window, whether it's in England, whether it's in the Spanish league, whether it's in the Saudi league, whether it's in the Kuwaiti league. I've just seen Sam Morsi from Ipswich going over to Kuwait, and he's already agreed personal terms with a team there. A lot of teams and players agree personal terms. So how are Nottingham Forest taking legal action against Spurs for something that everybody's been doing? And I'm sure Nottingham Forest has done it themselves. Big up to MBFC 14 with the super chat, says, I disagree. I think it's the price tag and the wages. This is in reference to why no one is bidding for Brian MBEUMO. After MBEUMO 25 left Anthony 58 million. Oh, 25 million for Anthony, 58 million Garnacho. Wait, what? What? I'm trying to understand this. MBEUMO 25 left Anthony 58. Okay, sorry. 25 million for Anthony. I don't explain this to me. The maths is not really mathemating. The maths is not really mathemating. Big up to Thriller with the super chat, says, Sister Minna just throwing out some support. I appreciate it, Thriller. Thank you so much. Big up to you. Don't let Manchester United break your spirit, though. I was saying this the other day, guys. I was saying, this is before the Brian MBEUMO deal, but I was saying there's so much more to life than football. Like, there's so much more to life than football. And if you love football like me, I love football so much. There's so much football you can watch outside of Manchester United. There's so much football you can watch outside of Manchester United. So before we get back on the merry-go-round of being positive again, just remember that in the back of your head when the season starts. Just remember that, guys. There's so much football. If you lot want to watch La Liga, Serie A, the French league, I'm not gonna lie, Dutch league ain't really my kind of league. I don't really watch the Dutch league. I like the Portuguese league. I've always liked the Portuguese league. The Saudi league is something I've started watching over the last couple of years. I might start watching the Brazilian league, guys. That seems a little bit up my street. I saw Neymar scored a winner last night. So I might start watching that. I might start watching that. But make sure you hit the like button if you've just come through. We've got over 200 people here. Let's try and get 200 likes at the minimum. If you want to join the membership club, you can. It's the pinned comment in the chat. You get your badges, you get your emojis, you get your custom member content. Of course, you get to support the growth of the channel so far. If you want to support the channel in alternative ways, you can. We've got a super chat goal on the stream here today. You can help us reach that, and it goes a long way. It supports the channel, the content, the community, the output, the quality, all of those buzzwords. And as I mentioned at the beginning of the stream, guys, I will be live at 7:45 UK time. 7:45 UK time for a watch along quarterfinals. England women versus Sweden women is going to be a big game. And I know that none of you guys are watching football because there's no football on right now. So there's no reason for you not to come and join and watch and vibe on the watch along with us, because England are on the easier side of the bracket. By finishing second in their group, they finished on the easier side of the bracket. They've avoided Germany. They've avoided Spain. They got Sweden, which is still tough, and then they got Italy waiting for them in the next round. And if they get through today, so we're gonna vibe and we're gonna cheer them on. Now, on the topic of, well, it's not on the topic of goalkeepers, but on the topic of goalkeepers, this has picked up a lot of pace, if you want to call it that. It's picked up a lot of possibility, if you want to say that. Emi Martinez reportedly, according to Argentinian reporters and Argentinian outlets, Emi Martinez reportedly has a £21 million release clause in his Aston Villa contract. However, Manchester United are willing to pay more to spread the payment. You telling me we ain't even got 20 million to spend? I thought it was just like it was. I just thought the installment plans was just for anything over 60 million. You're telling me we've got to do installment plan for 20 million as well? Martinez is reportedly has everything ready for the move, and he's ready to push to get this done. Now, I've seen people entertaining the possibility of a swap move, and I don't know how anybody thinks logically a swap move for Emi Martinez and Alejandro Garnacho makes any sense. It doesn't make any sense, not financially, not positionally. Man United will not benefit from a swap deal. From a PSR perspective, for cash purposes, there is no way anyone can encourage a swap deal. Now, if it's more along the lines of, for example, we've seen Chelsea do it with Atletico and João Felix and Conor Gallagher, etc. If it's something like that, I get it. But I don't think Man United should even look in the direction of Emi Martinez unless it's a guarantee you're getting 50 million at least for Garnacho. Some people might not agree with it. But I'm tired of the idea of Manchester United allowing clubs to basically bid mediocre prices for players when I'm seeing in a window other people going for the likes of 50, 60 million casually. We might not agree with what Alejandro Garnacho has done or how his time has panned out at Manchester United over the last number of years. Do I have a picture of him here? How do I not have a picture here ready? But you lot might not agree with what has happened with Garnacho, but we really need to stop selling our players so short. Like, we need to stop that. We really, really need to stop that. It's not the time anymore, in my opinion, to be for someone to have one up on someone else. Do you get it? It's not the time for us as fans to want to be proved right on our opinion on a certain player. I feel like we for far too long have short sold our players far too long. And big up to Kaz with the raid. Big up to everyone coming through from Kaz's stream as well. Make sure you lot check out Kaz's channel as well. But yeah, for far too long, you might not agree with what Garnacho said about Amorim. You might not agree with him publicly undermining the manager. You might not agree with what he's said online or what he's done online. But the truth is, Alejandro Garnacho has qualities and and he has achievements that Manchester United can financially benefit from, in my opinion. Over 100 appearances at senior level, has helped Manchester United win multiple trophies. You might not agree with it, but he's helped Manchester United in recent years win the Carabao and the FA Cup. He's gone from a academy path route into the first team. He might have a smelly attitude, and I think that's between him and himself. He needs to work on that. But Manchester United need to use that. And by the way, the biggest one out of all of it, when it comes to the final five that they keep calling these players, they keep calling them the outcast five. He earns the least probably out of all of them, him and Malacia. So he has wages that is absolutely possible to shift. Manchester United are not going to find themselves potentially having to pay out like they might find themselves with Sancho, with Anthony, with Marcus Rashford. They might not find themselves in that situation. So that is tick, tick, tick. So anybody that's entertaining the prospect of a straight swap for Emi Martinez and Garnacho, you don't want Man United to ever make a profit on a sale. Honestly speaking, you don't ever want Manchester United to make a profit on a sale. Now, in my opinion, should Manchester United, I actually think, and I know this sounds bad because I think Aston Villa is a good team, and I rate the fact that Marcus Rashford went there on loan when he was clearly not wanted at Manchester United. I don't think Garnacho will go to Villa, because I think he probably thinks he's better than a team like Aston Villa. Is he better than a team like Aston Villa? Absolutely not, because Aston Villa are playing in Europe. They were playing in Champions League last year. They've got a good manager. They've got a good crop of players. They have an ownership that are investing in, bringing in assets and players. But I think Garnacho is going to look at Aston Villa and think, I'm not playing there. I'm better than that. If it's not an Real Madrid or Atletico or Barca, a big name that has, a lot of, I think there's two teams in world football, that when they come knocking, you go and play for them. Real Madrid and Barcelona. Neither of them are coming to knock on Garnacho's door. So he might hold out and wait even more. Now, the only thing that works in his favor, I think, is that Aston Villa could do with a player like him. I think Aston Villa could definitely do with a player like him. But also, he wants to stay in the Premier League. The only other person that wants to sniff around him is Chelsea. And even then, I'm not going to lie, guys. As much as I want Garnacho to leave because I want Man United to financially benefit from transfers this summer, I don't think Chelsea are going to drop 50 plus on him. I don't think they would, because if they were going to do it, they would have done that a long time ago. They would have done it in January when Napoli were ready to pay 45 million for him and Man United were ready to accept the bid. That's when they would have done it. And he asked Manchester United to reject the bid because he didn't want to go to Italy. I think that's when Chelsea would have paid the money, when his agent was there. I think it was Wolves versus Chelsea at Stamford Bridge on a Monday night, and his agent was pictured in the box with Egbali, the one of the directors at Chelsea. I think at that point, Chelsea would have bidded for him if they really wanted him, but they were waiting it out. They were waiting it out to see how his season turns out. They were waiting it out to see if there's other people, and I think they've always kind of been linked to Gittins. Now, out of Chelsea will swap Jackson for Garnacho. Don't speak this into existence, guys. Don't speak this into existence. Would you not be happy with that? That is a question to you, to everyone in the chat. Oh, he's the majority owner. Okay, cool. I thought he was like the chief dog, if you want to call him that, like the second in command to Todd Bowley. But yeah, would you not be happy with the idea of a straight swap for Chelsea and Nicholas Jackson, and then on the flip side, Alejandro Garnacho and Manchester United? I don't think either team benefits from that. I don't think either team benefits from that. Well, I think Chelsea might, because they got another young winger. Big up to SSJ with the super chat, says Minna is 110% right. There's a lot to enjoy in life at the moment. Do not let our clubs dictate your lives. Ange's tactics were a nightmare, but hey, it's only football at the end of the day. I appreciate you, Reds. Big up to SSJ, always in the comment section showing some love as a Spurs fan. So that says a lot. So big up to SSJ, and thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it, man. Thank you. I want cash, Minna. Yeah, not straight. Absolutely not. I will not swap. No. All right. All of you lot, a lot of you lot saying no. A lot of you lot saying no, which is slightly reassuring. It's definitely reassuring to hear. By the way, this is just paper talk. Can I just say, this Garnacho to Rashford stuff. This Jackson thing is legit. The Garnacho talk to Aston Villa is paper talk. Yeah, it's just conversations flying around. But this thing right here, I'm scared that once this MBEUMO situation fizzes out and he joins Manchester United, I am very worried that this might start to pick up pace. And with the relationship that Manchester United have with Chelsea, the fact that, you know, Mason Mount and getting Jadon Sancho deal on deadline day, I think that door is open slightly for this to happen. I'm scared. I'm really, really scared. Now, is Nicholas Jackson the worst that Man United could do? No. But Fabrizio Romano has reported that several clubs have started making moves for Nicholas Jackson. His exit from Chelsea is very possible this summer. Premier League clubs have begun initial talks. Other reporters have thrown Manchester United's name into the hat, but I also feel like with a lot of players, Man United's name just gets thrown into the hat. I feel like that happens. I will take Watkins over Jackson. Well, funnily enough, Watkins is another guy that Manchester United are linked to. It's been reported that Aston Villa's Ollie Watkins would be open to joining Manchester United this summer if they make an offer for him. Man United are keen to strengthen their attacking options, with talks continuing for Bryan MBEUMO. Now, I don't know what the price tag would be for Aston Villa and Ollie Watkins, but one thing I will say, guys, is if Manchester United were to go to Villa Park with 40-50 million in their pocket, I say they tried to buy Onana. Like, honestly, I say they tried to, but it wouldn't work. 50 million, I don't think anyone will. I don't think they will give up Onana for the same price that they brought him for. But I wouldn't go to there. Morgan Rogers. There's so many players that I would walk away with first before I walk away with Ollie Watkins or Emi Martinez. Ollie Watkins for sure. He would be like top 6, top 5 players that I would walk away with from Aston Villa. But that's it. Let me see what else. Watkins wants Arsenal. No, I don't think Watkins is going to end up at Arsenal though. I don't think he's going to end up at Arsenal unless he's going to be a third striker for Gyökeres and Jesus. I think Villa wants 60 million for Watkins. You're telling me that Chelsea and Aston Villa value their strikers at the same price? That's blasphemy, guys. If we and then we're shocked that we can't sell our players. When Aston Villa wants 60 million for Ollie Watkins and Chelsea want 60 million for Nicholas Jackson, and someone out there is going to pay it. There is someone out there that will pay that fee. By the way, one thing about Villa, I think, is that when they sold Duran, they made bank. They cashed in on John Duran so quickly, and do you know where John Duran is now? He did a 6-month stint in the Saudi league, or even less than that, and he's now with Jose Mourinho at Fenerbahce in Turkey on loan. And Al Nassr are paying his entire wages just because he wanted out. Now, I don't know. Saudi ain't for everyone. The Saudi league ain't for everyone. It is generational wealth, but I don't think it's for the faint-hearted, especially footballers. But Aston Villa, I think they can demand these prices now for these players because financially they benefited when they sold John Duran last season. This Watkins is not the Watkins of 2 years old. 2 years ago, he's decent now, not great, has become a poacher only, doesn't have that explosiveness anymore. Watch all his goals of last season. I 100% agree. He is not that Ollie Watkins. I think everyone's holding on to that Ollie Watkins a couple of seasons ago. You might be right, Mina. Villa tried to sell Onana to Saudi. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I really, really would not be surprised if they tried to pull that off. In terms of selling players, Chelsea are... I can't even take this serious without laughing, guys. Because this is another thing, is why is it every time someone is linked to leaving their club and a team want to offload their player, why is it Man United that is always brought? I know we give them the clicks and we give them the conversations, but god damn. Barcelona, Bayern Munich, and Manchester United have recently shown interest in signing Nkunku. Lookman is an option too. Lookman's going to Inter. If you don't know, Lookman is going to Inter for 40 million, and they've just made money off of what's it called as well, their striker. So yeah, they're okay with selling Lookman for a cheaper price. But reportedly, Manchester United, and now I don't know how honest this is, right? Because the report this is coming from is, I would say, tier 3, like a BBC Sport reporter, but I'd say he's tier 3. Number one. Number two, the two other teams mentioned is Barcelona and Bayern Munich, which I think neither team need a player like Nkunku. Maybe as a second striker, Bayern Munich could utilize him now with Musiala being out, but he ain't that creative replacement that Musiala is. Number one. Number two, Chelsea, of course, just want to get rid of him. And I'm not going to lie, I feel like now Chelsea are in a good place. So I can definitely say this, but I feel like that those first couple of transfer windows at Chelsea post Abramovich, a lot of those players have just fallen into a slump. Like, I can't really think of any player that has flourished that they brought in those first 2 windows. I liked Nkunku before he joined Chelsea. I even the idea of United being linked to him before he joined Chelsea, I would have entertained that conversation. But now I'm very much like, keep him away from Man United. Not because I think he's a horrible player, just because I don't think Man United is the place to come to when you're trying to rebuild your career. We can't be a platform to help people rebuild careers, because we actually don't rebuild careers. We absolutely butcher them. So I don't want a player that needs to go somewhere to perform to come to Manchester United and feel like Manchester United is that place to come and perform, because it's either swim or drown, and 9 times out of 10 I think they're gonna drown. They are gonna drown. So I would rather a player like Nkunku, who I think had potential before he joined Chelsea, but I can only really like some of my opinions formed on players are of what they used to be, but also some of my opinions are based on what we've seen in prime time, like right now. And what we've seen right now from Nkunku has not been promising. It's not been consistent, and it's not been good enough for Chelsea. So why should it be good enough for Manchester United? Is there a player in there? Yes, probably. Is Man United the place to platform a return or redemption? Not necessarily, because even when a player at Manchester United showcased a redemption or a possible bounce back from, you know, previous struggles that they had, they've never really been able to consistently maintain it. And there's so many players I can think of. There's so many players I can think of that have been like that. So Man United being linked to Nkunku for me is just paper talk, similar to Garnacho being linked to Aston Villa. And I don't think Man United are really looking elsewhere outside of Brian MBEUMO. So some comments flying in about Ruben Amorim. We'll get to that quickly. Just the last one, the last kind of thing on transfer news is this guy right here. Juventus have offered, earlier this morning it was reported that Juventus have offered £15 million to Manchester United, despite the fact that Manchester United are asking for about £21 million for Jadon Sancho. It's also been reported that Juve have a full agreement in place with Jadon Sancho and his representatives, and now it's just about finalising things with Manchester United. Negotiations are progressing well. The offer might be nearly enough, and Jadon Sancho has once again reiterated his desire to wait for Juve rather to go elsewhere. So this might be the first outgoing for us. And at £20 million, or if Juve get 15 million, if they pay 15 million for Jadon Sancho, guys, oh, how the mighty have fallen. Oh, how the mighty have fallen. I'm not talking about Jadon Sancho. I'm talking about Man United. And I'm talking about Jadon Sancho. Juve could be a good destination for him. I think it's out of the spotlight. I say this all the time. Jadon Sancho is a player that I think does well outside of the spotlight, which is why I think he did well at Dortmund and he was in a much more comfortable position. He's at least 25 million. For sure, a player of Jadon Sancho's ilk is way more than 25 million. But this is the thing, guys. Manchester United, when it comes to offloading their players, they go off of, you know, or buying clubs go off of what those players have been in recent times. So in recent times, Jadon Sancho has not been promising. He has not been a promising talent. He hasn't been a consistent talent. He hasn't been a performing talent either. So a lot of teams will go off of that. They're not going off of the Jadon Sancho 5 years ago that Manchester United brought. That's not what they're going off of. They're going off of what they've seen at Manchester United from Jadon Sancho. And unfortunately, it's not been that promising. So Man United can't go around demanding 30, 40, 50 million pound, hypothetically speaking, for a player like Jadon Sancho. I just hope that this is the first outgoing for Manchester United. And I hope that this kind of gets the ball rolling for Manchester United. So Ruben Amorim has done an interview ahead of the newest season, obviously approaching. It's a very long statement that has been put out. I'm going to read it in full to you guys, and then we're going to break down some of the key parts. Listen, I don't want to hear nothing. From a CEO, from a sporting director, from an owner, from a manager, I don't want to hear nothing, because it's going to hurt me even more if United have a spiraling season and I have to see these quotes all over again. So in the newest Manchester United yearbook, Ruben Amorim has a message to the fans. He says, fulfilling our immense potential on a consistent basis is the aim for next season. For everyone associated with football, players, staff, and fans, the start of the new season is a time of excitement. We should not completely ignore or forget what happened last season, because there are many lessons for us to learn from where things went badly, and also from the positive moments when we remind ourselves of our potential to become much better. We all suffered. I think suffered is a very kind word. We all suffered so much disappointment and pain together last season as we went through that process of changing the way we work in our club. However, we are in a much better position than we would have been if I was only joining this summer. By the way, that particular line was something that was mentioned by Omar Barada. Now, I don't know if you guys remember, Omar Barada last month did an interview with United We Stand, the fan magazine, and he said something similar, kind of reflecting on the season. He said, and I'm paraphrasing, but he did say, basically, Ruben Amorim coming in November and basically experiencing this 6 months is better than him joining in summer and then we experience it the entire of next season. As if that's a silver lining. I don't think that's a silver lining. I think that's copium, as the kids would say. I think that's copium. I don't think that, there's really a silver lining in those 6 months of Amorim arriving, because who's to say next season is going to be any better? We are hoping and we're optimistic that next season will be better, but there's nothing guaranteeing us that those 6 months of struggle and disappointment will pay off. And Amorim has said exactly something similar just now as well. He said, we are in a much better position than we would have been if I was only joining this summer. Because of everything I have learned in the past 8 months and everything of the players and everything the players have learned about what I expect from them, one of the main things I have learned is how special this football club is and how special the fans are. I feel a big sense of responsibility to help put Manchester United back where it belongs, like I said, on the pitch at Old Trafford. A strong belief that a much better days lie ahead. I cannot promise that we will reach all our long-term objectives this season, but I can promise that I will give everything to help put us firmly on the path. And that is from Ruben Amorim, a statement made in Manchester United's newest yearbook. That's just too much talking. Like, it sounds great on paper. And you lot know I like Amorim, but he's given us nothing to buy into but words, but the elegance in his speech. I think a lot of people call him an elegant speaker, but that is really the only thing that he's really given us to buy into. It's not really actions, it's just what he says. Now, on paper, sounds beautiful. Sounds like a love letter. Like the love letter people were writing to Ineos to not sack Erik ten Hag. That's what it kind of reminds me of. But this is a love letter to fans. But I need action on the pitch. I need results, because conversation and words can only take you so far. The best form of apology, this is what I always used to hear when I was younger, the best form of apology is changed behavior. I need to see a change from what happened last season to this season. And like I said, and even he says, we won't achieve all those goals, all the long-term goals in one season. We're not going to go and win the Prem and every form of silverware in one season. It's not going to happen. But if he can get us closer to that and be one of the managers that help us win, some sort of silverware, I think a lot more fans will be able to buy into this. At the moment, though, I think that there is a stern line between pretty much everybody and the manager in terms of what can be achievable this season. Now, I've seen someone in the chat saying that someone in the chat was saying Xerxes is out, but I can't really see anything on that. I can't really see anything of that. On the topic of being out injured, though, it's been reported that Andre Onana's injury is not as seriously as initially feared, and he's responding well to treatment from the medical staff. So if you lot remember, it was a 6 to 8 week period that we were told about Andre Onana, and possibly it might actually not be that. Now, he will miss preseason. Preseason, Man United, I think preseason Manchester United leave Manchester, to go to Leeds to play. No, they're playing Leeds in, I don't even know, is it Sweden or something? And then from there they're traveling to America. Kaz said in Discord, okay, I'll see if it comes out as breaking news. If that's another injury in preseason, that's crazy. If that's another injury with Onana getting injured, and another hamstring injury for Xerxes, that would be sad. So United are leaving for preseason in America, next week, Tuesday, I think it is, or later into the week. And then from there, I don't know. I'm worried about the season starting. I'm very nervous about the season starting. I wish we could stay in preseason for as long as possible, because then for me, that takes away the reality of the season that's coming up. Arsenal on the first day. We got City. We got oh my god. And with possibly only 2 new signings. My anticipation is that, again, this is just predictions, but my anticipation is we get Bryan Mbeumo, and maybe we get one more starter in. Maybe. That's all I can see happening. I don't know. If United get Bryan Mbeumo in, guys. If United get Bryan Mbeumo in, how many signings do you think United get in after that? I can't really see much more on the horizon, because I think a lot of it depends on outgoes. There's still some, question marks about Marcus Rashford's future, in terms of the fact, is anyone going to come and sign him? Anthony, Real Betis just got a nice little 40 million fee for a player, so they should have the money to sign Anthony if they want to. Malacia, I think, is the least of our worries. But if it's just MBEUMO and Cunha, that's a poor window. I'll be honest. I don't care what the level of the players are, and whether they are floor raisers, etc. If Man United end the summer transfer window with just MBEUMO and Cunha, that is a bad transfer window. Because I get that you can't address every Achilles heel in one window, but Manchester United have, unfortunately, multiple Achilles heels, and they have multiple issues that they need to address. So you need to address the biggest priority ones, and I don't think it's just MBEUMO and Cunha that are the biggest priority ones. I think there's definitely a midfield situation. I think the striker situation is worrisome. The thought of Rasmus Højlund leading the line next season is a thought that haunts me, if I'm being honest. So if Man United can get those sales, and they get them effectively, in terms of getting relatively good fees for them, then I can see us maybe signing a striker, or maybe signing a starting midfielder. But I think a big part of Man United's summer transfer window after this Bryan MBEUMO thing, if it gets accepted, I think a big part of it will be dependent on getting players out. And there's no guarantee that will say that we're definitely getting players out. But listen, guys, be sure to hit the like button. Be sure to subscribe as well if you are new here. What did I miss? You missed Bryan MBEUMO to Manchester United. No, here we go. But a 65 million plus 5 million in add-ons bid from Manchester United. Brentford yet to accept or reject it. So we just got to wait and see. But big up to everyone with the raids, big up to KG with the raid, big up to Kaz with the raid, big up to everyone that came through from those raids and subscribed to the channel. We are not that far off from 16k, hoping to hit 20k by the end of the calendar year. So if you are new here, please do subscribe. And in about 2.5 hours time, like I said, I'll be live again with a watch along for the Women's Euros, England versus Sweden quarterfinals. England are the defending champs. If you don't know, the game is live on television as well. If you're in the UK, you want to watch the game is live on BBC One or on iPlayer. So come through for the watch along, come vibe. We're going to chit chat. Hopefully we might get a Bryan MBEUMO. Here we go whilst I'm live. I don't know. But listen, big up to everyone. Big up to everyone that sent in super chats throughout the stream as well. I very much appreciate it. And if you have not hit the like button, make sure you hit the like button on your way out. I'll be live again later this evening. But if you want your Man United news, I'll be live again tomorrow. You lot know the rules, man. Hit the like button on your way out, and I'll catch some of you lot on the watch along later on. Peace.